heart and soul of what we do is funding student-athlete scholarships. That's kind of the entry point to WSU athletics. So we look forward to raising money to support our student athletes and having them with us to showcase what it means to support scholarships.
That's one of the things. It's a lot of games. And so I think if you come out, you're going to see a group of young men that play the game the right way. They play hard. It's exciting.
Having all those guys coming back and having the experience of last season and knowing what went well, what went poorly, I think it'll really help us be successful this year.
Welcome into this week's edition of the Inside WSU Athletics Podcast. Another week, another packed episode. Our guest coming up, Brandy Finch from the CAF. We'll get all caught up with her. And then we're talking Cougar baseball. The season gets started this week as we'll have the head coach of the Cougs, Nathan Choate, stopping by. And Nick Lewis, WSU pitcher, will join us as well. A big thank you, as always, to our presenting sponsor of the podcast, BECU. And we now welcome in, as we always do, Jon Haarlow. And Jon, let's start right here, fresh off of the Super Bowl as we chat here today. And so great to see a Coug getting able to celebrate a Super Bowl victory. Abe Lucas getting to celebrate that Super Bowl win with the Seahawks. That is awesome to see a Coug on that level be able to accomplish that.
Yeah, pretty incredible. It was awesome to watch. Obviously, we had great Coug representation in the Super Bowl. Us being in the state of Washington, always good for the hometown, our home state team to capture a victory there. But was chatting with some other. That's our 14th different Coug player to win a Super Bowl, which pretty incredible. The representation, the success that our Coug student athletes have had at that level, like that's the pinnacle, right? When they come here, that's the dream. Go here and then chase a Super Bowl ring, and then to see another Coug get to accomplish that, amazing.
And it was kind of the perfect Super Bowl in that way. I know a lot of Coug fans were rooting for the Seahawks, but for the WSU perspective, you couldn't lose to see a Coug be able to celebrate with Kyle Williams on the other side for the Patriots and getting to see him make a catch in the game. That was awesome to see. And I know it's been a busy stretch when it comes to the social events in Kennewick last week with Kirby Moore, and then there's events coming up here in the near future as well.
Yeah, we're trying to be nonstop and get around the state and out of state, have some out of state things coming up as well. But Kennewick was awesome. A big shout out to Zintel Creek Golf Course for hosting us there. We had a great turnout. Coach Moore did an outstanding job engaging with the group as he always does. We've got another stop this week at Swinging Doors, February 12th, 4 to 6 in Spokane. And then next week we head over to Camas, February 19th. Taps at Oak Tree Station from 5:30 to 7:30. I will be there. Coach Moore will be there. Excited to engage with more Cougs. That's what we love to do, and get them excited about the upcoming season. Before we transition, Chris, I don't even know if I'm allowed to do this or not, but I'm going to do this. But I want to give a shout out to the PIHA, the Palouse Youth Hockey Association, 8U Bears. Got to be a hockey dad a little bit for a couple hours over the weekend, this past weekend. They had a tournament, the Clearwater Classic, down in Lewiston. And they were able to come out of there with second place. Was so proud of that group. Again, you've got 6, 7, 8-year-olds skating around. They played so hard, had some come from behind wins. It was awesome to watch my son skate around with a big smile on his face. So proud of that group. Gage, I'm proud of you, buddy. There's zero chance that my 7-year-old is going to watch the podcast. But if he does by some chance, proud of you, buddy, and proud of that whole group. What that staff does and what that association does is pretty special to our family. And so proud of that group.
Well, you're allowed to do that, and hats off to everyone on the Bears. That is awesome news to hear, getting it done on the ice. And just thinking about, we had the game on Saturday at Beasley with the Clock Tower retro jersey. There was the auction component with that. Can you tell us how the auction went with it? Yeah, we're still getting some of our final numbers, but we do believe we're somewhere in the ballpark of $10K that's going to go straight towards NIL once we factor out all the costs and things that we had to do for the uniforms. But really excited about how that came together. I was thinking about this over the weekend, obviously during the game, that a shout out to Matt Zollinger, who's on our staff. This kind of came to fruition of him and I kind of just being silly, dreaming something up well over a year ago, and then to watch the team take that and the design process and integrating with other areas, getting into the retail space was really, really cool to watch it come to fruition. And those uniforms looked clean. They looked really good out there. And so
So our fans these are one of the things that we're trying to continue to do. This is something that you saw benefit NIL. The student athletes are fired up about it because it was a new, clean look. And then it also benefits our retail partners and our licensing revenue on the back end. So the way that we can continue to do those dynamic new revenue streams that have multiple prongs that they benefit, the more that we can do that, the better. And that's the goal moving forward.
Well, love to hear that. And, thinking of that game Saturday and some of the recent home games when we talk about basketball, the student section has maybe been a little lighter than a perfect world. Jon, want to get your thoughts on that and what WSU athletics, might be working on to help to improve that moving forward.
Yeah, it's a good question, Chris, and I appreciate you asking. Yeah, I've been a little bit discouraged by the turnout there. I believe what our student athletes deserve to play in front of their peers and have a raucous environment. We know that fuels them going forward. We've had all sorts of conversations over the last several weeks about our long-term strategies, really targeting next year, because we know there's urgency with this. We've got to start. These are going to have to be all campus buy-in, campus leadership, student affairs, and we have engaged over the last several weeks with conversations there about what we can do. We have very pointed strategies, targeting the housing system, targeting the Greek life system. If we could get them to stop having 3 p.m. frat parties on a Saturday at the same time as tip-off, that would certainly help. But that comes back to the coordination. And we're excited about some of the things. I'm not going to necessarily roll it out here on the podcast, but it's going to have to start with football next year and roll into basketball. I think we can do some things that are competition-based, incentive-based. It's really important, in my opinion, that we get these Cougs as soon as they step foot on campus. Starts early, and then as they matriculate through, they understand the importance of this is what we do. How do we create the FOMO, the fear of missing out? This is what my buddies are doing, and this is what it means to be a Coug. So again, we've got some strategies that we're deploying. We also, and just for the listeners' awareness, we talk to our peers at different schools, athletic departments, ADs, all the time, if not daily, about best practices, what they're leveraging. Some other schools might be smaller private schools, some are bigger state institutions. There are different methodologies that we can all use to incentivize the students to get there. It's something that we have to figure out. So it's with urgency. It's the top of our discussion list. Every time that our leadership group gets together, we're engaged with the rest of campus. I think we've got some really good ideas about what we can do for next year, because we know it has to improve. Those students are what become our ticket base going forward, and et cetera. That's our alumni. That's the lifeblood of what makes this place work. So we've got some pillars that we think we can enact to lean on headed into next fall. And that's a culture shift that we're confident we can do it. And I think we've got some strategies to make it happen for next year.
That's great to hear. All I know is I just think back on my college experience and how important and big Cougar athletics was a part of that. And just being at Beasley was such a huge part of that as well. And speaking of being at Beasley, recapping what has happened since our last edition of the podcast. So men's hoop dropped a tough one on the road at Oregon State, and then had those awesome clock tower retro jerseys, scored a lot of points. Just Santa Clara just scored a handful more as Santa Clara got the victory in that hard-fought game. This week, it is that matchup against Gonzaga on Tuesday, game on ESPN2, 8 o'clock tip-off there. Women's basketball split in Southern California on that road swing, beat San Diego, fell to Pepperdine, only one game this week, hosting Portland. That's Thursday. Looking forward to that one at Beasley, 6 o'clock. And then track and field sent a small group of runners to Spokane for the Riverfront Invitational. This week, they're back in action at the Husky Classic in Seattle, one of the final tune-ups before the MPSF Indoor Championships. That's March 1st through 2nd in Reno. For tennis, they had a tough loss at Sacramento State, leading 3-1, but rebounded with a convincing 4-0 win at UC Davis. This week, Cougar tennis heads to the Mountain Schools to face BYU on Friday and Utah on Saturday. Swimming will continue training until next action, February 18th through 21st at the Mountain West Conference Championships in Houston. Women's golf begins the 2026 schedule Monday in Palm Desert at the Mountain Classic Match Play event. Baseball, and we're going to be talking a lot more about this coming up with both Nathan Choate and Nick Lewis, begins the season Friday with a 3-game series down in Tuscaloosa at Alabama. Again, Nathan Choate and Nick Lewis coming up later on the podcast. And men's golf gets their spring season underway Thursday at the John Burns Intercollegiate in Hawaii. A lot going on, John.
Yeah, that's like 9 or 10 bullet points, Chris, of Cougs in action. And I use that as an opportunity to, our student athletes are such an impressive group. You think about all the travel that they're doing, the flying around that they're doing, their training, their competition, their studying, their class, they're taking care of their bodies and their nutrition. I'm always impressed when I get an opportunity to see practice and certainly the games of what they're able to balance as young, young adults. Just proud of the group and what they do. And they're almost always smiling when you interact with them too in the hallways. And just a group that I think highly of. And these reminders of all the different places they're competing across the country. Great reminder of all the different stuff the load that they carry.
Well said. And we'll talk about on the field and off the field with Nick Lewis coming up here as well. With that, we'll dive into our conversations coming up. Brandy Finch, Nathan Choate, and Nick Lewis, all after this word from our sponsor, BECU.
How do you spot a Coug in the wild? Head to toe crimson, gray, and, well, anything except purple? A simple go Cougs at an airport halfway around the globe? Or maybe just a little pride from BECU and some extra money in your pocket when you pay for your tacos. Get the card Cougs everywhere recognize. Join today. BECU. Go Cougs.
Time now to visit with our first guest on this week's episode. And John, can you tell us who we get the chance to visit with here today?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Excited for this. We've got Brandy Finch, Assistant Athletic Director in the Cougar Athletic Fund. Brandy does so much for our CAF group. She's been hard at work on the night with Cougar Athletics and anxious for her to share. Brandy, if you don't mind, we've got 3 different events, 3 different dates, 3 very separate, distinct locations and setups. Why don't you just kind of give our listeners, viewers, an overview of what the expectations can be?
Yeah, thanks, John. So Night with Cougar Athletics this year, we're so excited about their annual fundraising series that we host for the athletics department. We have 3 events, one in Seattle, one in Prosser, which is new this year, and one in Spokane. So Seattle is on March 21st, and we have moved to Victory Hall, which is right across from T-Mobile Park, so Stadium District in Seattle. Really good vibes for that time of year, especially during March Madness. So we're excited to get that real athletics atmosphere, change the program a little bit, have a great auction, and some fun, because Cougs love to have fun. And then we will move to Prosser in April, which couldn't have been a better surprise this year for us.
Great foreshadowing there with that selection of location.
Yeah, I'd like to think I knew it was coming, but what a happy accident. So that will be so fun. We'll be at Smasney Cellars, an entirely new event in Tri-Cities this year. We're trying to mix things up and, again, have a little more fun while we're fundraising for our student athletes. So that event is sold out, but we are working on options to accommodate as many people as possible. So more to come in that region. And then May 15th in Spokane at Northern Quest Resort and Casino. Tried and true event. It's so much fun in Spokane. That group turns out and we have a great time. So we're looking forward to all 3 events this year.
Yeah, wonderful setups, locations. Sound like they're going to be awesome. I'm excited for the differences between the 2 and them being spread out this year, which is exciting as well. It's a huge fundraising event. It's a huge lift for you. Where do the funds go once they're raised?
Yeah, so all 3 of these events support student athlete scholarships. Some may know it as the annual fund, some may know it as just student athlete support, but really the heart and soul of what we do is funding student athlete scholarships. That's kind of the entry point to WSU athletics. So we look forward to raising money to support our student athletes and having them with us to showcase what it means to support scholarships.
Yeah, you said it well there. It is the lifeblood of what we do here, giving student athletes access to education, and we can't do that without the grants and financial aid, which is supported by the annual funds, which is awesome. So for those that are attending, can they expect to see student athletes, coaches, staff? What's the expectations there?
Absolutely. So each event will have a couple hundred people in attendance. We will have all of our athletics leadership, you included, in the room. We'll have our head football coach, Kirby Moore, so people will get to meet him and his staff, as well as all of our head coaches, or as many as possible if they're not, actively in postseason competition. So we'll have head coaches, student athletes, and as many Cougs as we can in the room.
So if folks are looking, they're listening, and they're looking to purchase a ticket to either of the events, where can they go to purchase tickets?
CougarAthleticFund.com. So our website has a landing page. There's a tab at the top for events, and we have links to all three. You can pick which location you're looking to go to and register online. We've got various sponsorship levels. Crimson and Gray sponsors get to, the opportunity to advertise with us during the program as well. Individual tickets, I want to let everyone know we heard you. They're a little bit less expensive this year. So the entry point is easier. We want everyone to join us. We want you to come out and just celebrate the Cougs. So register on our website. And if you have any questions, reach out to me.
That's awesome. Brandy, appreciate all your hard work on these events. I know they're a big lift. They're meaningful to our fan base. They're meaningful because of the funds that they generate to our student athletes. If you haven't got your tickets, go on the website, get your tickets. It's going to be three awesome nights of all Cougs. And excited to see everybody there. Thank you, Brandy.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Thanks, Chris.
Well, a big thanks again to Brandy, and those events are right around the corner. So much to be excited about with those. And speaking of being excited, we've got baseball season on tap. And when we come back, we will hear from the head coach of the Cougs, Nathan Choate, right after this.
How do you spot a Coug in the wild? Head to toe crimson, gray, and, well, anything except purple? A simple go Cougs at an airport halfway around the globe? Or maybe just a little pride from BECU and some extra money in your pocket when you pay for your tacos. Get the card Cougs everywhere recognize. Join today. BECU. Go Cougs.
Well, it is time to play ball. Cougar baseball gets started this week, and our next two guests, John, there's no better people to talk to, and we are starting right away with Coach Choate to get to visit with him today.
Yeah, awesome to see Coach Choate. Coach, welcome to the podcast. It's baseball season. It's here. I need to pay a shout out real quick. We were at an event down in Kennewick last week, and a gentleman kind of cornered me and said, "Hey, we need more baseball content out there. I want data. I want to talk the squad. I want to know who to look out for." So Kevin Gerard was that gentleman's name. I want to give him a shout out. His timing was impeccable. We've got the skipper for Coug baseball here, Coach Choate. Coach Choate, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It is baseball season. The Super Bowl is over. That means college baseball is ready to get fired up. So
I love it. You know I'm a baseball guy, and this is my favorite time of year, so I'm ready to roll. So let's get right into it. So talk to us about the squad. What can we expect around the diamond? Who can we look for, and who's going to be making some impacts out there?
Yeah, definitely a different field than last year. We have our entire returning infield starting rotation. We've added quite a few guys from the portal, from the bullpen. So for all the Coug alums that love our baseball program, that want to know about pitching, we have added pitching depth, which will be very refreshing. Max Hartman, who's got a chance to be Player of the Year in the conference, is back, and so excited to get going. A lot of returners.
Well, give us a little preview to the start of the season. So the year begins, 19 straight road games, including 3 at Alabama to open things up. Last year, the season started at number 4 Arkansas. How is it you getting the season started and obviously having these tough challenges that can only pay dividends in the short term, but in the long term as well?
Yeah, obviously we're looking for great weather. It's going to rain a little bit, but going down and playing in the SEC, one of the things is the environment that it's going to challenge us. And then any mistakes that you make, they get exposed early. And I think sometimes if you play a little bit of a lesser opponent, you get a false sense of your team. And so any mistakes that we make, they're going to get magnified in an environment like that. And so that's why we're going and playing right away for the second consecutive year in the SEC. And next year we're going to the SEC again. I'm not going to announce who, but yeah, we're not going to open up, but week 2 will be in the SEC.
I love that. I love that mentality. I love what that does to challenge the guys. I'm excited about that. You mentioned that you've added some depth, but you also returned 80% of the innings from last year as a staff. Talk to us about what that means for your arms.
Yeah, there's no substitute for experience. Last year we had some junior college guys that were All-Americans, and they get to the Division I level. You get exposed a little bit when you make some mistakes when you're new to the Division I level. And then honestly, because of the lack of depth, the guy in charge, which would be me, left them in longer than I probably should for no other reason than just kind of out of necessity. They gave us the best chance to win. And so I think those guys sticking to 6 or 7 innings their numbers will be much improved. Sometimes they got pulled at 110 pitches, and then the next guy, gives up a 4 spot, and their numbers get a little inflated. And so they actually pitched better than the numbers looked last year for the starters. So having them back and having them go, 3 times through a lineup, I think it'll be an easier task for them.
Going back to your playing career, you spent the final 2 years of your career as a relief pitcher at Cal Poly. What were you like as a player, and how has that helped you as you've gotten into coaching?
Well, at the time, I thought I was a good player. In retrospect, after coaching all these years, I wasn't very good, right? But, I played at Cal Poly. I met my wife there. The place means a lot to me. We're going there this year. But the reason I got into coaching, it's funny, when I was done playing, my mom had told me, hey, you need to get into coaching. And I said, that's the last thing I want to do. And I got into private business for 2 years. And then finally got into at the high school level. My high school coach asked me and convinced me to do it for a year. And after about 6 months, I said, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I just want to do it at the collegiate level. And then went to Irvine, and it kind of went from there. But yeah, Cal Poly is a special place. Anywhere that you go, like Jon going into the national championship and watching Indiana win a national championship, when you go there, it means a little bit more to you. So I'm happy to be going there this year, but want to beat them even more as well. So.
Well, coming up next, we're going to talk to Nick Lewis. You've known him for some time. How would you describe to Coug fans what he's like?
Yeah, he's a complete pitcher. I call him the wizard, just because some of the things he does. He's not the greatest athlete in the world, but he just magically makes plays and makes pitches. He can control the running game. He's really good at fielding his position. He can any pitch in any count. He does all the controllables really well. He pitches into right-handed guys really well as a lefty, which has his velocity play up. And like I said, 3 pitches for strikes in any count, up, down, in, out. It kind of reminds me of an old school, like a Tom Glavine. I'm dating myself here, but like a Tom Glavine type pitcher that just does a lot of things right.
So, Coach, you've been around West Coast baseball for 20 years. You understand the history of what Cougar baseball. How much awareness did you have being on the West Coast? How much familiarity did you have with the tradition of Cougar baseball?
Yeah, a lot. It was one of the big draws of the job. I knew that the Pac-12 at the time, the challenges that it would have, but at the same time, I knew the history that you could win here. And I was a big John Olerud fan growing up, and knowing his history. If you were watching baseball in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, you knew about Cougar baseball. And so I was very, very familiar with the history. And, one of the big draws for me to take the job was, if we can get this place going, there's a lot of people that would come out of the woodworks to support this program. I understand that.
So this is why people tune in the podcast, right? We got some breaking news to drop here. So there's been a lot of discussion around this 50-year anniversary of the 1976 team and what they accomplished. We will be inducting the 1976 baseball squad into the Cougar or the WSU Athletic Hall of Fame this fall. We're excited about that. What a historic season that they had. I think 43-15 was their season record. Went 16-2, I believe, in the Pac-8 to win a Pac-12 championship. Went on to the College World Series through the West Regional. Had a historic run there. Pretty historic team. Any thoughts about that? You know the history of that, Coach. Any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a big smile. It's long overdue. Congratulations to that team. Well deserving. Our locker room is named after them. It's the team locker room. It's the 1976 team locker room. So we see that every single day. Our players see that every day. And so really, really happy for those guys to celebrate them in 50 years, to celebrate, that's in college baseball, your ultimate goal is to go to the College World Series. And so that's the last team at Washington State to do it. Those guys are very active at our alumni events. And so pretty pleased for them, pretty happy. I think it's going to be a pretty happy group. So congratulations and well-deserved. Happy for them.
That is awesome breaking news to have here. And with that, there was some outstanding news that came out last week. Will Cresswell, the catcher for the team last year, will be playing for Great Britain next month in the World Baseball Classic. How special is that for you to see Will get an opportunity to perform and to be on that kind of stage, that kind of platform?
Yeah, it's an incredible opportunity that he has. His manager, Brad Marcelino, him and I were assistants together at the University of San Diego. And so this process had started way back last spring, and he had shot me a text and asked me about Will's, British heritage. And I said, full disclosure, I said, I'm not real sure, but I think if you touch base with him, he would love the opportunity. And so it kind of went from there. So I'm going to be following that team closely. Like I said, I know Brad really well, and then obviously Will. What an opportunity to play in the World Baseball Classic. I got to experience it the very first World Baseball Classic. I was a young coach, and it was in Southern California when the Japanese team was there and the Mexican team was there, a team from Mexico. And I threw batting practice to them at Cal State Fullerton. They were practicing. And I threw to Ichiro. And in Japanese, they were speaking. And after he did his normal round where he was hitting line drives over the shortstop's head, they told him to start like trying to hit home runs. And Ichiro hit like 12 home runs in a row to the pull side. And people don't realize how good a hitter he was, not just, with feel for that, but he had some power too. And people don't realize that. I was really nervous, by the way, making sure that I threw strikes to those guys and wasn't all over the place. So.
That's a lot of pressure there, but what an opportunity that is. Coach, the floor is yours. I know our fans are chomping at the bit to get to Bailey Brayton this spring. As a reminder, season tickets are on sale. Single game tickets are on sale. Want to see everyone there. We think it's going to be awesome opportunity for a great season, great environment. Floor is yours. Tell everybody what to expect or what you're most excited about.
We're a much improved team. And it's an easy group to cheer for and root for. The guys, the majority of our players, the 20 returners that we had this year, after going through some adversity last year, decided to stay, want to fix this place, and get us on the right track. And so it's an easy group to root for, and they've been through some adversity, and I think they're going to handle a lot of the ebbs and flows of a baseball season. That's one of the things. It's a lot of games. And so I think if you come out, you're going to see a group of young men that play the game the right way. They play hard. It's exciting. We're going to pitch better, which people always ask me. Yes, we are going to pitch better. But I think the environment on a game day at Bailey Brayton, with some of the new amenities and the fan experience and people that want to enjoy an adult beverage can, and when the sun's out at Bailey Brayton, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better place on campus in the spring than here. And it's an easy group to root for because they do things the right way.
Well said. And I'm excited. I've been able to catch a couple practices, a couple of the scrimmages. It's a team that communicates. They're getting after it. They're playing hard. I'm excited about the season. Chris, take us away.
Great stuff, Coach. We can't wait. Appreciate the time and just excited to get the season started, get the journey started here shortly.
Yep, it's going to be a fun year. Like I said, it's a good group, and can't wait to get opened up this Friday at Alabama. So appreciate it. Go Cougs.
Well, on that note, coming up next, we will talk to Nick Lewis. That's right after this. John, we just got done getting the outlook and the excitement going into the season for Cougar baseball from Nathan Choate, and now we get it from a different perspective as we get the chance here to talk to Nick Lewis.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Excited about this one. Cougar baseball student athlete Nick Lewis. Nick, welcome to the pod, my man.
Yep, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So are you ready to get going? What's the last month been like for you and your teammates?
It's been exciting. It's been a long month just because I've been counting down the days on Instagram and Twitter and all that. We're all very excited. It can't come soon enough. We're leaving tomorrow morning, so it's finally here, and we're all really, excited to get going.
When you're part of the pitching staff where there's so many returners, and that's a big theme for the team this year is the number of returners that are back. How exciting from a pitching perspective is to be part of this staff where there's this continuity and all these guys, you included, ready to take that next step forward in your Cougar careers?
Yeah, it's great. Cho always says, you can't replace experience. And so having all those guys coming back and having the experience of last season and knowing what went well, what went poorly, I think it'll really help us be successful this year, and as well as the new guys coming in, they're all, buying into our goals and they know exactly what, we want out of this season. So we're all ready to get going.
Nick, give us a little background about yourself, where you're from, where you grew up, and how you got into baseball.
I grew up in a city called Corona, California. It's near Anaheim, Riverside County. And when I was young, I played every sport. My parents made sure to get me in all sports. When it wasn't baseball season, I would have to play something new in the fall. But whether or not they liked it, my dad was a football guy, but I just loved baseball. So you know, 12 years later, here I am.
Well, it's been a very good fit, and Cougs are happy to have you here on the Palouse. And the season's getting started here. You mentioned how soon the team is going to leave. Friday is when the campaign begins down in Tuscaloosa against Alabama. It's the third straight year where the team will be spending the first month of the year on the road and against really good competition. Is that a challenge that you and the entire team embraces?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we necessarily, view it as a challenge. I think it's an opportunity. We're all excited. One, it's a little warmer in some of these places, so that's kind of nice, to see the sun shining. But yeah, I think it's an opportunity that we all look forward to, to go show people that it doesn't really matter who we're playing. When we do what we need to do, and play good baseball, it's really just about, us, and not doesn't really matter who we're playing.
Nick, you carry I'm staggering here because it's impressive. You carry a 3.88 GPA, majoring in economics. We won't talk about it here on the podcast, but I did not carry a 3.88 GPA in college or in anything. That's really impressive. Congrats on that. That's a testament to your hard work. How do you find time to balance baseball and your academics? And then, just out of curiosity, an economic degree, what do you aspire to do post baseball?
Yeah, as far as the academic side goes, I think it's just me personally. There's this. Have the same standard for myself on the baseball field as I do in the classroom. I view it as being here playing baseball. It's also an opportunity to get a great degree, and I don't want to waste the time and lose the opportunity. Since I redshirted, I'll be here in my 5th year. I potentially will have an opportunity to get my master's in a year. So all those things are just great opportunities that I have, and I don't want to, let it go to waste. As far as what I want to do after baseball, I'm not sure. I'm in the process of learning more about the business world. Both my parents are educators, so they're not they're not too familiar with how the business world works. So I have certain contacts that I need to, start getting in touch with and just kind of learning, seeing what I want to do.
Well, you got plenty of time, and there's all sorts of opportunities that are going to present themselves for you. So when you're not playing baseball or balancing your studying in economics, what do you do for fun?
I love to be outside. I like to fish. I like to go see outdoors. Here the Palouse is much different from where I grew up. So I always kind of like seeing the different, scenery and all the rolling hills. I remember when I first got here, I was like, this is unbelievable. There's nothing like I've ever seen. So I like to just be outside, explore. There's a lot of land around here that I've learned quickly. So that's what I like to do.
I appreciate that perspective because I think it is a beautiful spot here on the Palouse. I mean, I don't think that people understand that or realize that. And sometimes if you don't leave just Pullman proper, which has a lot to offer, to see all the beautiful areas that we have around, whether you're down at the Snake or up in northern Idaho or over a Moscow Mountain or whatever, there are so many great places, beautiful places here really close to campus. I'm going off script here, Chris. Sorry about that. But I got to know, do you have a favorite baseball team?
I'm an Angels fan. I live
I
about
wondered
30
if your
minutes.
proximity there. Yeah,
Yeah,
very cool.
So does that mean you went to a lot of Angels games growing up, if the proximity wise?
I did. We went to as many as we could. I big Mike Trout fan. So he's my guy.
It's a good one to root for there.
Oh yeah.
That was going to be my next question: is if Mike Trout was your favorite player? So is that was there anyone before Mike Trout? I mean, it's hard to top Mike Trout now if you're an Angels fan. Was there a first player who kind of captured your heart?
He was probably the first one, but all those guys that were on that team when I was growing up, like Cole Calhoun, Albert Pujols, a little bit of Jared Weaver, but not a ton. Even like Garrett Richards was their ace for a couple years when I was growing up. So all those guys, when I was 7 to 10 years old, maybe 11, were my favorites.
That is a great age to be a baseball fan and to fall in love with the game. Well, again, as we've said, you are no stranger to WSU. You're no stranger to the Cougar baseball program. You're no stranger to the experience of being a Coug. What would you say is the greatest thing about being a Coug?
I would say it's how much people care about us and our success. I'm always surprised to see either where people are currently or where they came from that somehow have a connection to Washington State, and they all care very deeply about the success of, our program. And all the other athletics programs. And it's impressive because that I didn't grow up seeing like that kind of loyalty to a college program or something like that. It's different.
Well,
Well
Nick,
said.
yeah, great stuff there, and continued success not only on the field but in the classroom as well. That is incredibly impressive what you've been able to do, and I know we're all excited to cheer on the team coming up this week to get the season started, and of course when things turn to Bailey Brayton Field, and we're all out there cheering on the team. So thanks again for your time.
Thank you.
Well, a big thank you not only to Nick Lewis, but to Brandy Finch and Nathan Choate. To John, just any final thoughts as we wrap up this episode?
No, I appreciate all the guests. This is a great reminder of all the different things that we have in the works right now. A testament again to our student athletes that are working so hard, both in competition and in the classroom, not to mention what they do for the community. Excited for baseball season. I mentioned it earlier, single game tickets on sale, season tickets on sale. It's going to be a great spring. Excited to watch them in action, and go Cougs as always.
Well, again, one more big thank you to our presenting sponsor, BECU. That will do it for this edition of the Inside WSU Athletics podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in, and go Cougs.